From TMP to TTNG, for sure the cure and those tired meme jeans. Helican Sella and the promise ring. Sunny day, real estate and rights this spring. Prince Twinkle Daddies help keep the dream alive. I constantly thank God for Algernon and Remo Christie Front Drive. Mineral, snowing, high tide hotelier and more. Rio Limo only consists of the DC emotive hardcore. But you gotta admit, Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. You gotta admit that Kyle and Ellie really on that emo bullshit. Have you heard the tired and disavowed lonely word? Have you heard the disavowed and lonely word? Have you heard the lonely disavowed word? Have you heard the tired and lonely disavowed word?
Episode 58 of the E-Word. I'm recording this time. This is Kyle in Madison, Wisconsin, joined by Ellie in Austin, Texas. Ellie, this is where your monologue starts.
So I'm doing like a special like Patreon exclusive newsletter for Halloween that comes out on Halloween. And it's like about horror like in music. It's been like weird because there's very few examples of like hardcore bands taking influence from like straight up horror and it actually not being like extremely cringy. Like Ink and Dagger and like City Hunter are like maybe the two only like really truly excellent examples I can think of off the top of my head. But you know, there's a lot of it in hip hop. There's like a lot of good horror influenced hip hop, like Gravediggers or like the Memphis like scene with like the rap sigils and all that and whatnot. But my commenters like have been really wanting me to go in depth on like ICP and Twisted and horrorcore. And my fear actually is that it will turn out that I just genuinely really like ICP. It makes sense because I'm pro Juggalo in theory, and I like a lot of awful music already, and I like Fago. So I'm just like worried that, you know, some people are genetically predisposed to being alcoholics. I might be genetically predisposed to being a Juggalo. And I want to know, like, if I end up going down that dark path, if I can't escape my Juggalo destiny, will I still be welcome on the pod?
Yes, I'm an ally of the Juggalos. I have a couple of friends that are true and tried Juggalos.
You're a Juggalo.
Yes. I think what would be interesting is if you listen to all of the ICP discography from like most present to like their earliest stuff, because I think if you started at the beginning you would definitely like it, and then eventually you would be like, okay, this turned into shit.
Because here's the thing, because I know that I like a couple cuts off the Great Malenko.
Yeah.
Like I like that song. I think it's called Halls of Horrors, which is just about like showing like abusive, shitty people the faults of their actions. Like I think that song's cool. Mm-hmm. But do you know who Nathan Rabin is? One of the head honchos at the AV Club, and he wrote that My Year of Flops column about like movies that failed and whether or not they like deserve to fail. And he like gave Freddy Got Fingered like a glowing review in retrospect.
Was he the one that wrote that book?
Yeah. The book about like Juggalos and like the Fish fandom.
Yeah.
And like his journey, like getting like really, really into it. It's super fascinating because he's also like extremely open about like being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and like all of the insane amounts of drugs that he did at fucking Gathering of the Juggalos and like shows. So I actually like really highly recommend that book because it's super revealing as to, you know, a lot of like the reasons that people don't like fans of those bands and like how a lot of that is actually rooted in class and anything else.
Right.
I forget what it's called though. I think it's called You Don't Know Me But You Don't Like Me. I think that's what it's called.
Are we gonna let our guest in now that we talked about Juggalos?
Oh yeah.
All I can add about Juggalo discourse was I think like circa 2015, Spotify did like a regional assessment of what were like the top songs like in your like specific sort of urban kind of like area you lived in. And I'm from Des Moines, a little bit outside of Des Moines. So like I plugged in like that address or whatever, and like out of the top 10, there was like 2 Tech Nine songs, 3 ICP songs, and then also like 2 Reba McEntire songs, and then a couple other like mainstream pop like country hits. So that's culturally, I would say Juggalo's pretty ingrained here, pretty ingrained from where I'm from, along with Reba, of course.
No Slipknot?
Reba McEntire's got us.
Yeah, no, honestly, no Slipknot for the Des Moines area, which
fucking
I just thought
wild.
was absolutely nutso. But I don't know. I guess like a big chunk of the Slipknot fandom must be out of state, which is just so sad for my home turf.
What's that really good Slipknot record called? Idaho?
It's Ohio Wowo.
Well, that is Jenkin from Welp. It's 2 a.m. and I'm listening to Cap'n Jazz. Welcome to the podcast, Jenkin.
Yeah, hello everyone.
A rare guest that's not a musician, industry person, or a journalist.
Yeah, I mean, I do a little bit of music writing, but it's mostly just for like 2 of my friends that like give a shit. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I'm just a vaguely known internet phenomena.
Well, you do run, or not run, but like you do have that project Jasper, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit of my own music. But that's really just like, that's super low key. I think I have like, like I made like $25 on Bandcamp last month, and that was like 50% of the money I've made on Bandcamp in like the last 5 years. So
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so you have probably seen the page, and it has probably made you at least flinch because you were upset about something at some point. So I think you'll fit in great with the podcast. Yeah, let's do some housekeeping stuff. I think it's been since the episode with Tim from Better Yet that we've caught up on stuff, so that's a great episode. You should check that one out. And then, of course, we had Oolong on last week, which was a great episode, which was over 3-hour recording session. Had to cut out about an hour of just heat.
Yeah.
Too hot for the pod.
Too hot to handle.
that's how it goes with the oolong. Can't have your tea too hot. Hey.
I'm really glad that Eric from Hossboss took everything in the spirit in which it was intended. That made me happy.
And they'll come on the podcast in the wintertime, it sounds like.
Hell yeah. Also, this isn't like a spoiler or anything. For Your Health is probably going to be on the pod like mid-November.
And
Yeah,
we also have to squeeze in our anniversary episode and also our end of the year episode, which has to be with Tyler from Stars Hollow.
That's true. That's true.
Through the windshield, just a pain. You wanna see what it takes to break through and run the other way. I thought you should know. I thought you should know. I found your dog bleeding out under a cushion on the couch, and I give it back. But you said,
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
So basically, we have most of what we're doing for the rest of the year planned out, and it's all heat from what I can tell. Any plugs at the top between you two?
Oh no, honestly, no. Honestly, my life pretty uneventful right now. I guess like look at the page and maybe I'll do something cool. Just kind of wait.
If you want to see me wade through ICP and Guar and a whole bunch of other like attempts at horror in music, you're going to have to subscribe to my Patreon because it's going to be a Patreon exclusive. That's patreon.com/YouDon'tNeedMapsX. And I finally got Blade Brown to subscribe to my Patreon by telling them that I was going to be covering ICP.
That's how you do it. Got it. Bribery.
I will follow the E-Word on Instagram, the E-Word podcast. I think a lot of our followers only use Twitter and shit, but we are on Instagram. And I'll do fun shit like ask people what their favorite Touche album is. And it wasn't too surprising. It's Stage 4. That's what people at like emo like for Touche. Yeah, I just like parsing that data out. So Welp started out as a Facebook page, but y'all are on Instagram and Twitter a little more quietly, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just like people's asked me to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I will. The Twitter's a little bit more fun because, like, if I ever have an idea or, like, I want to complain about something, but I don't want to, like, make it into, like, a thing, then I can just kind of, like, shit it out there.
Yeah, I do think the Welp Twitter is, like, supremely underrated. And I, like, make a point of saying so, like, whenever I get a chance on the E-Word. It's probably my favorite account on that fucking website.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like it's weird because like I have like a personal, but the personal is all like various political and comedy, whatever, and then like the Welp is like the DIY Twitter and like what's going on in like whatever indie rock, emo, whatever space, and it's just like it's semi interconnected at some points, but it's weird how stark like what people like talk about or like into, and I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of how I like look, and I get a lot of like inspo from Twitter discourse.
Yeah, that's actually like kind of why I was so stoked to have you on, is because I feel like the E-Word and Welp have kind of like similar outlooks on like DIY culture, which I think we're gonna get to like later on as we talk about it. And also, like, a lot of the critique comes from, like, more of a Marxist perspective, too. Mm-hmm. So, I feel like the stars are really aligning with this one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Get into it, as they say.
Kind of what the new format of the E-Word has kind of turned into is, like, okay, we're going to talk to the guests, then we're going to talk about what we've been listening to, and then we'll get through some news / some topics. Ellie, is there any drama that we got to talk about this week?
I have no idea, because I've actually just, like, completely like scaled down how online I am, like just for the sake of my own mental health. So like really all I know right now is watch Buffy, snuggle with Dina, be bisexual, eat hot chip, and lie. That's it.
Yeah, Buffy is good. People were like really mad about the $100 sweatshirt thing, which
What's
I personally
$100 sweatshirt thing.
It was like, I think it was like Counterparts, wasn't it? It was some metalcore band that was selling like a special type of sweatshirt that costs like $60 to make. So they were like selling it at like $100 so they could make some sort of profit off it. Personally, I don't really give a shit. I'm not going to be buying it regardless. But yeah, so apparently people were pissed off about that. And also keep in mind, I could be totally wrong. Because when I absorb things from the internet, I'm just kind of like getting random angry screeds and then sort of parsing what maybe people are actually mad about from that.
Man,
to me, it's just like, imagine thinking that like a mid-size venue touring act that can't even tour right now is capitalist. Like they don't own capital whatsoever. But also, I kind of question the decision to make anything that costs $60 to make, and that's no hate. That's no hate towards Counterparts if it's Counterparts, because I do really like that band. I think maybe their audience isn't prepared to drop $100 on a sweatshirt out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's one of the. It's like I get like people are struggling, and you got to do what you can. It's like I'm not gonna fault them for it. Like get that money, but.
I did uncover that it was indeed $100 Counterparts sweatshirt.
Hell yeah. Okay. So still no hate towards Counterparts.
Right.
Yeah. For those,
no.
Their
that
guitars
are about to rock.
funny on Twitter. All right. So should we delve into the unauthorized autobiography of Welp? It's 2 a.m.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
I remember. I think I liked the page a little bit, like before it started being really active, like in my memory, like I started seeing a lot of posts and engagement with the page in like mid to late 2018. But how long has the page been around for exactly?
Yeah, like, so I think it was like April or May of 2016. I was just like, I'll make this because like there were a increasing number of pages that were like, I'm going to do this or that in my this or that, and then listen to X band.
Oh
and
yeah,
so-
like
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
DMT and listening to Korn in my 1994 sedan or whatever.
Yeah,
that type
there was
of
there was a
genre
ton of those
Boxing,
pages.
listening to Mineral.
So I thought like
yeah.
I'm gonna riff kind of on that, maybe not make it as sort of like memey in the title. But yeah, it's like a super low key origin story because I was just like it was like finals time, so I was like I'll just this will be a thing I can procrastinate and make little stupid whatevers. And like any sort of roughly defined project or I don't know like style or whatever is just sort of like naturally come just from like I don't know learning the art of posting. It's like it's the origin story is like honestly kind of weak, but it was really like like sort of mid 2018 that for whatever reason people started to like share it and shit and then
Is it because you started talking more shit?
I maybe a little bit maybe. Honestly, I should go back through my archives to see like the one I made one. I think the one that first got really big was like
The I did not
basically-
have fun in 10th grade one
That
for
one-
American football.
Yeah, that one definitely. Although I made that one in like summer of 2017. I think the one that like kind of first started to get the ball rolling in 2018 was like a joke I made about how like no Joyce Manor song has gone as hard as like fucking 2007 era Avril Lavigne. Like people.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I remember
people
that post. Yeah.
people really like the girlfriend meme, and that was like when, and also at that point like more new like I think that's like when Midwest emo posting like more people were getting into that and it like got shared in there and then it just kind of like naturally spiraled from that.
Yeah, I think Midwest emo posting is actually very tied to the rise of Welp at 2 a.m.
Gotta throw in props for sometimes it's like people are screaming at me, but hey, it's sort of mutualistic growth there.
I didn't even know that the I did not have fun in 10th grade meme came from you because it's been like posted everywhere by everyone and never like tagged.
Yeah. No, and I'm personally I'm totally cool with that. It's like funny because like I'll see like it shared on just rando Insta pages and like the JPEG artifacts on it from just being like shared and saved and reshared so many times. It just is like it's seen a lot in its 3 years of existence.
That escalates the artistic impact of it, I think, actually, is when like the image becomes like so compressed from being internet Xeroxed so many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were some of the extremes of the page and like, posts that have made people the most mad? I think is a good place to start.
Anytime like I do like a snarky thing or whatever, there might be like one or two people that like get super pissed. But like really it's when you like make fan bases mad that like shit hits the fan. I remember like the 3 times that like fan bases have been like the most like have like come for me in the comments like were like the 1975 Streetlight Manifesto and then A Day to Remember. Like A Day to Remember, I made a meme about like how it was just like A Day to Remember was never good. And then like, it must have gotten shared in like a private A Day to Remember group because like 50 people just like stormed the comments like it was like, and it also the meme it was so stupid. I like because like a good chunk of what I do is just throw in a random like figure. It was just one of those like art like school like faceless like figure practice things. Like I just threw that in there for like sure, fuck it, why not? And like, yeah, it pissed people off. The A Day to Remember fans were ravenous.
I think that's a fan base that doesn't really know context of like, all right, this is a meme page. You listen to A Day to Remember. So like you're low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. I was actually surprised by how little hate you got when you made fun of Glassjaw. Because Glassjaw fans are some of the most like diehard aggressive fans like in the on the internet. And that was like one of the only ones that even I got a little miffed at because you like lumped them in with with something else that I thought was inappropriate. But
Yeah, no, shit. I need to go look back because honestly, like I throw these things out there and like fuck, I don't even remember what that one was. I do know that people were like, because in the end, I think I was just like making fun of like Glassjaw lyrics for being super mopey and weird. But then somebody posted like a link about how the Daryl guy like had sort of contextualized and apologized for some of the more like misogynistic aspects of it, and so
yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure they changed the lyrics live actually.
Yeah. So that like, and you know that like, even in the comment section, I'm pretty sure I remember being like, oh, that's cool. That actually like improves them in my critical eye like a significant amount. So
It sucks because I think musically they are at their best when lyrically they're at their worst, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Streetlight Manifesto makes sense too, though, because like you can't tell those people anything besides Streetlight Manifesto is the best ska band that's ever existed.
It's so weird. You think they're like the Streetlight people are going to be like happy-go-lucky, like we like Checker and like, you know, we like ska, we like to be happy, but like you shit on Streetlight and like they'll pull out the fucking butterfly like switchblades or whatever.
I think that's a big misconception on your part about Streetlight, because if you ever actually listen to their lyrics, they are very dour and sad.
Yeah.
And like militant.
All of Streetlight's lyrics are either about like being suicidal or hating God, pretty much.
Well, yeah, probably my problem here is I've listened to maybe 2 songs from them. So.
Yeah. How much of a band do you listen to like before you decide to mock them?
Honestly, not a lot. I go to lyrics a lot, and that's just like me because like I like majored in English and I did like poetry studies and like that liberal arts shit. So like I like to go to lyrics because like that's like for me, if a band is like very capable musically, but then there's something just like I find whack about the lyrics, and that really like urges a lot of the bands that I give the most ire, like I don't know, like the Front Bottoms or something. It's because I find they're sort of thematic to be super irritating. But yeah,
you're not going to find any Front Bottoms defense on this pod.
Yeah. down with with the street. Honestly, with the meme I wrote with the Streetlight, I don't even think I was like I think I was just like making fun of the concept of horns, like in the abstract, and then. Yeah, they can't. That was early on. That was like May 2018 or something.
But what about like making fun of bands that are like, I guess like smaller, you know? Like, I don't know, if you made fun of, I don't even know who to put on the chopping block here, but like one of the new bands that sounds exactly like Mom Jeans. Like, our people are like, dude, why are you making fun of them? They're just like a new band or something like that. Like, is there something that's like flying too close to like your orbit or something that you can't make fun of?
Yeah, like I really like sort of like end of 2018, early 2019. Like, I don't know, I kind of figured that with like smaller acts, it doesn't always like feel good or like feel funny to like make an acerbic joke about like a band that has like 100 regular fans, because I don't want like 50 people commenting like, yeah, fuck these guys, because like at the end of the day, it's like I don't really like. None of this is like that serious. I was like, I made fun of like smaller acts a little bit more, like especially like end of 2018. Oh, I made fun of like I did a joke about Riley's lyrics about listening to Never Met Twice in One Night and how like twerpy that was, and they took it really cool. But even after that, I was like, I don't know if I want like if I'm gonna like critique DIY or make jokes about DIY, I'm gonna try and make it a little bit more general, because like no one specific act like deserves the ire like as a particular thing, because like it's phenomenon that like so many bands like do. So I've tried to like make it a little bit more general, because I don't know, I don't want to make people. One time I made a joke like I just made up like a fake shitty band name, like it was like I don't know, like Adults with like a period or something, and then like that band actually existed. And
no.
And then like it's like no man, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to shit on your band. I you know, I should have known better. Like that's obviously someone's gonna be fucking named that. But yeah, sorry Adults, I didn't mean to shit on your band.
I get that too, because like when I did like I'm going to roast anyone. Like, it doesn't matter if we're friends or if I like your band, I'm not going to be positive. Like, this huge Twitter thread that I did on Twitter, like, I think almost 2 years ago now. And I'm thinking of, like, doing another one just because it was so fun. But there were a lot of small bands that wanted me to dunk on them. And it didn't leave me with, like, a good taste in my mouth to, like, shit on tiny bands, like, in a not good-natured way. And actually, Riley was, like, one of the ones that I felt the most bad about because they asked me to roast them. And then I did, and it was really mean. And they just replied with, no, wait.
Yeah, no, it's just like, because at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, even if I do like hate your music, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to make you feel that bad. Like, I'm sure you're probably not that horrible of a person.
Yeah, and I do think that, like, I mean, aside from like the conversations about punching up and punching down in comedy, I think that like what you're ultimately making fun of is definitely more of the culture, like, surrounding DIY, rather than like any specific acts. Like you said, it's like more about like the phenomenology than any one specific instance.
Mm-hmm.
I probably use phenomenology super wrong because I'm a college dropout, but
hey, confidence is key. Just go with it. I think that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is correct.
Have there been any posts that, like, besides the adults, have there been any posts about big bands that like the bands have noticed? I think maybe the I didn't have fun in 10th grade. I think maybe Mike Kinsella posted that.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no way in fuck he has not seen that. It's been shared like so many fucking times. There was one tweet that like a journalist dude shared, and it got like 100,000 likes on Twitter. It was like a fuckload.
Oh shit.
And that was like 2 years ago. Phoebe Bridgers shared that one. Like, it's been all over the place. The ones that are like the most fulfilling are like, periodically I'll do like, here's a band that's like contemporary that I think is like really good, and like they'll be, you know, I'll write a little review of like their discog so far. It's like not like super serious writing or anything. It's just like, hey, this band's good, and like generally those bands will like be pretty into the, like, I don't know, just the publicity, because like I guess 20,000 people like the page. It gets seen by like generally a large amount of people. Like Closet Witch and Sprain, they like reshared my shit because of that. So I think that's cool.
Closet
it's
Witch
like
is so good.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah,
one.
I try to for all the like critical stuff. It's like I do try to throw in like, hey, these contemporary acts are pretty baller too.
Yeah, I do think although those posts like do get noticed, I think that they definitely get less engagement than negative posts, though, which is unfortunate because I see that trend like in our stuff too. People just prefer when you like shit on things.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, because like the comedy stuff, it's like, I don't know, people just gravitate to the sort of more incisive stuff, and it's just kind of how it goes, I think. So it might be an internet thing, but yeah. Are
there any ones that you thought would do like really well but just always kind of fall flat?
From this year, this is like one of this one is like, I just made a joke about how like people were missing house shows, and then like, but the house venues themselves were like modern day Erfurt latrine disasters, which I don't know if you know that point in history, it was just like a bunch of nobles drowned in shit.
Yeah.
It's like, which like I really like that. That one did pretty well. I don't know, that one, maybe it's just because I'm a fan of a good shit joke, but that one was pretty fun. As far as like ones that like, let me just scroll through I have a folder that just is, the folder is one word meme, and there was a couple like video ones that I wish I did wished I did more. Like I did a couple like of Shinji, like listening to like sad sort of like kind of more eclectic music. But then I think like that became a page of its own right. I think some like, I don't know if I'm not saying I started the Shinji sad music video, but somebody saw that and like made their own meme page of just Shinji listening to sad songs. So wish I had really cashed in on that.
I am curious about like what the influences were on the page, because like I think Welp is like definitively within like a lineage of like internet DIY music comedy, and you can kind of trace that back. Like I think it starts a little bit with Something Awful, and then Stuff You Will Hate kind of solidified that, And then you have like the gangster Popeye stuff, which fed into like Millions of Dead Posers. And I think Millions of Dead Posers is like kind of the patient zero of that style of Facebook meme comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And Welp is like taking it a little bit further, because Millions of Dead Posers, I think, is like more anarcho, and Welp, I think, has much more of like a well-defined Marxist perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Millions of Dead Posers was like, because I remember seeing that in like 2017, and it's like more general, like attacking sort of like the Rolling Stone tier of, you know, alternative music, and sometimes not even alternative music. So I was like, that definitely was a big push. And then also, like, I mean, I've been on like Twitter since like 2012, so that the years of brain wormery from being constantly bombarded by sort of mimetic imagery and shit. I kind of, because like the early memes I did were like very just like whatever format was like kind of popping at the moment. And then it's just like I realized, oh, you don't actually even really have to like do a format. You can just like turn whatever joke or whatever opinion you have, and then just kind of like throw fucking whatever pop cultural ephemera onto it with stupid fonts, and then like people will dig it. So it's just, you kind of learn to just kind of, I don't know, roll with the weird evolution that is irreverence online.
Millions of Dead Posers is kind of dead now, but I'm actually like surprised that you didn't mention that they actually did like make fun of a couple more obscure bands. Like I remember the post that like actually like hipped me onto that page for the first time was it was like the Dystopia logo laid on top of Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they have some deep cuts, definitely. I think, honestly, the one time I'm pretty sure I accidentally copied them. I think they put like a Horse the Band logo over that Michael Cera with the super thin mustache. And like I did that too. I didn't even know it existed because like I haven't scanned every single Millions of Dead Poser meme. And somebody was like, yeah, Millions of Dead Posers did this first. And I was like, yeah, fuck, god damn it. Like I should have known, man. Got to diversify my shit.
So let's talk about Facebook and the interplay between Facebook and emo, and how that's kind of like part of the culture now. Like we give like a lot of time on this podcast to DIY Twitter because it's like so embarrassing sometimes. But I think one of the craziest things is how popular specifically the Midwest emo posting page is. And Scram Cave too, like it's definitely a little bit of a lower level, but both those pages I think are like weird flashpoints of the culture. And it's weird to think about because, you know, if you ask like the average millennial or Zoomer, they'll be like, oh, Facebook's dead, I only use Instagram. But there's a lot of quote unquote the kids on Facebook, and I think Facebook is where like a lot of the shit is popping off, and where you can find a lot of like conversations that I think distill what's on people's minds and the way that they think about the music and the culture right now.
But at the same time, I'm always under the impression, and I could be wrong because I've been off Facebook for like basically this year, is that like Midwest emo posting is like always like at least like 6 months late to like whatever is popping. Is that still true?
It's true, but you have to remember that we are insufferable hipsters, so 6 months late is exactly on time.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's weird to me when people say, "Oh, nobody uses Facebook anymore," because like basically like fucking every sort of social and or political thing I'm involved with is like basically like 80% on Facebook. So yeah, I mean, the discursive whatever that happens in especially like in the meme offshoots of like Midwest emo posting, because that's where like people are the most obnoxious and therefore like the most ripe for some sort of commentary.
Oh,
like,
memo posting is so bad.
Yeah, it really is. I put it on mute for like 30 days because just I've been working on other shit, and it's like I like I can't. Not that energy right now. I'm busy.
But what? So Kyle has this note here. He said the point where I really started to love the page is when I realized most of your posts were less about making fun of the bands and more of a critique of the fan/culture. And I actually have noticed that, like, when you were on Facebook, the only time I'd ever see you interact was like, Kyle Cole liked this photo from Welp. It's 2 a.m. But what are some of like the most insidious elements of DIY culture that you've noticed? Like, what is the thing that you're actively trying to combat with your critiques?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Wow, there's a lot. I think like from the political perspective, I'm like I definitely try and cut on the sort of, I mean, I guess it's performativity, but also it's just like, I guess saying shit and then like not even knowing what the fuck you're like saying or the implications of it. Like, I don't know, like people on DIY Twitter a lot, like, you know, will talk about like power structures or like, you know, fucking like, or like, I don't know, like counterparts as being capitalist. And it's just like, I love to like rip into that because it's like, no, like you don't, like, you're not saying things that like are real, you know, you're just like using whatever Tumblr term and like trying to like, so definitely like that sort of like kind of, I don't know, it's like the anarcho sock dem culture of like just kind of like saying lefty things but not really having any substance behind it. That's definitely a big thing I like to like get into. But also I guess like the hobby-ishness of DIY as opposed to like thinking about it as like a more serious like art thing, because I think like a lot of the times like when people like hate like whatever joke I'm making, it's like, oh, you know, why aren't you letting people enjoy things? Why aren't you like, you know, it's not that
Yeah.
it's not that deep, or like, and it's just like I don't know, like especially when I talk about like lyrical content, like
Every time I hear why can't you let people enjoy things, the first thing I think of is like Squints from The Sandlot, like just this like dorky 5-foot kid with enormous Coke bottle glasses. Like that's what you sound like every time.
Well, like a lot of that stuff was actually uncovered for me directly in Midwest emo posting and made me hate it so quickly. Because it was just so many people just like trying to defend why they listen to what they listen to when there's no defense left. Because like, what the fuck can you defend about at this point? I'm in the Vinyl Jerk subreddit because I collect records and I can't stand people talking about it, but I can stand people making fun of it. And like someone screenshotted and shared something of like someone in Midwest emo posting saying, I don't actually unseal my records. I just collect them and I listen to them on streaming services. And it's like, that's exactly the shit that I can't stand about like people talking about emo on Facebook, because it's just like immature energy to it.
Hey, Kyle, are you ready to hate my guts?
Yeah.
So I don't collect records, but I also don't even own a record player. So I just have like 6 framed vinyl records above me and Dina's bed.
Yeah, and like
And
probably like your friends gave them to you, and that's a perfect thing.
And
yeah,
Jank, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you pointed out like the hobbyism, and I think that like something like really insidious about the link between like faux leftist posturing and like this kind of subculturism is that it fosters kind of the sense that like, oh, we actually don't want mainstream people to catch on to left ideas and like form kind of like this popular left front. And I think that that's something that's like really annoying to me as somebody who wants like more like genuinely left-wing ideas to become popular in America. Like when you were so focused on making leftism like your identity in like a Albert Camus sort of rebellion. That's actually like extremely counterproductive and counter-revolutionary because sorry to get into Camus, but Camus is like explicitly anti-revolution and pro-rebellion in this sort of like a highly individualist sense. So when you combine those two ideas, like they are just like legitimately incompatible. as far as striving for any sort of like broadly popular left-wing project.
Yeah, it's weird because like when I'm like coming up with stuff, like not all the time am I like I'm trying to make grandiose or like even I don't know well thought out political statements, but like like going through like periodically I'll just like look like what did I even fucking post like this week, and like there's a trend of like just nitpicking at that sort of. Because like this is supposed to be an art scene, right? This is supposed to be like a sort of like just looking at the history of like whatever like leftist art in like just Europe and America and all over the world, like we're supposed to be like I don't know trying to do something more important here, like it's not just like an extra curricular like whatever thing. And I think like a lot of the times when I'm like making fun of bands, like a lot of things like I make fun of are like sort of like the triviality of like, oh, like my girlfriend isn't my girlfriend anymore, so I'm gonna drink chocolate milk. Like it's like you can make a song that's like very personal and like because like so many emo bands have done it. Make a song that's very personal, but that's also like interconnected to like other facets of a much grander like political world. And like because like a ton of my bands like do that. Fucking like Cap'n Jazz does that, and they were like teens in fucking Buffalo whatever. So yeah, I mean at the end of the day, it's like a lot of the shit I'm critiquing with this like indiness is like this sort of like weird inward, I don't know, like like this clubby after school like extracurricular shit.
Did you just say that Captain Jazz is from Buffalo?
No, that like it's like Buffalo
Grove, yeah, Illinois.
Or like Illinois
okay.
or some shit. Yeah, no. Buffalo Prairie or whatever it is.
I think what's interesting and funny about emo is how like hard it is to defend it at this point, because it's like it's like something that's like sometimes very pure and like it's hard to make fun of, but at the same time it's like once someone starts making fun of it, it's impossible to defend.
Yeah, it's like especially now it's like the thing used to be like when you said you were into emo and people were like, oh, like fucking the starting line, or you used to be like, oh no, not that, but like now it's to the point where it's like, shit, yeah, you know what, yeah, it's taking, yeah, I mean Taking Back Sunday in the starting line, because like otherwise it's people are gonna think like, I don't know, the Stanky Boys or like mom
Mom
man.
Party.
Yeah,
Mom. I'm gonna start a band called Mom. By the way, I googled phenomenology, and I'm like offended you didn't call me out at how fucking wrong I was. Like I thought we were friends. You should have known enough to correct me.
What you can just like pretend. It's like kind of what it is. Experience and consciousness. That's like we're talking about those things.
Well, from a phenomenological perspective, that was how I saw phenomenology.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, see.
All right, so we want to wrap up this section real quick.
Sure.
Kyle, you got final questions.
So at the end of the day, I think a lot of people think that based on what you post that you're too cool for emo and DIY. So I guess like what is your actual relationship with emo and DIY like now?
It's like unfortunate because like I'm not as involved in sort of like a punky or like post-hardcore or whatever you want to like as I ideally be, and that's like because like I live in Des Moines. I'm from a small ass fucking nowhere town in Iowa, and like the scene in Iowa, like, and people get like I always get pissed when I say this, but I don't think it's very good. That's largely because like most of the like more dedicated punky indie rock whatever shit that happens, it happens in either Ames or Iowa City, because like those are the biggest universities are there, and like when bands come and when bands form, it's going to be there because like that's where like a huge fucking chunk of the young people are in the state. Like 80% of the time, like Iowa City is where like a band will go if they're going to stop in Iowa at all. And it like especially sucks now because like there was like one cool venue in Des Moines. And now it's closed. Right? It's closed because of fucking the Rona, and it just like shit. Well, like I don't know how Des Moines is going to bounce back from that, but like I've been making music since I was 13, and like it wasn't really till college that I had access to a sort of like consistent and like dedicated like music scene. And even then it was like a small liberal arts college, so it was like 200 people, like absolute max doing anything. But like despite the setting, like I still make music and I'm still involved with like local musicians and stuff. It's just like in Des Moines, like it's very intimate and it's like really more oriented towards like sort of indie pop rock stuff. But yeah, but between that and just like balancing my time, like between sort of like academic goals and creative writing and like making rent and shit, like, you know, that's, you just kind of have to balance your time with what you got here in the old Hawkeye state. It'd be sick if I could go to like Iowa City regularly to see shit, but like that's like a fucking 80-mile drive or whatever. So,
Have you ever been to Codfish Hollow?
that's like there's been like in the past 8 years of my life that like I've been like more like with it. There's been like so many shows that I would have liked to go there, and I just like have never had the capacity or like the time to do.
I went to the Cursive and Me Without You and Appleseed Cash show there.
God, that would have been so fucking good.
Yeah, the place is sweet.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, this is like a barn, just like literally in the middle of like cornfields and shit. And
isn't it like it's like in like Makokata or something? It's like in
Mankato or Maniteca or something like that.
Yeah, it's like in a place that would be the setting for a cannibal horror movie.
Yeah.
Like,
but somehow it's become a place where like bands love to play. So like Conor Oberst has played there, Built to Spill play there all the time, I think, at this point and shit like that. So it's like that level of indie bands will play there.
I don't know, like Jim Adkins has done like solo shows there too. It's like, yeah, it's honestly pretty popping for being in like nowhere. Well, people are always on the lookout for like rustic spaces.
Oh, you bringing up Jim Adkins actually reminds me of like a question I had. What is your actual opinion on Jimmy Eat World?
I like the first two Jimmy Eat World albums a lot. But
Wait,
I don't know.
so what do you mean by first two? Do you mean like
Yeah, I
the
was
self-titled
curious.
Static Prevails?
Yeah, Clarity and Static Prevails.
Oh no, because they had a full length before Static Prevails.
Yeah, it was like a skate punky type of one.
It's skate punk, but they do have like two like really good emo songs. One's called Usury, and the other is called Science 747.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so technically they're second and third. Yeah, I like those a lot. I fucking hate Bleed American for a lot of reasons why. And those memes piss off a lot of people because like people really love Bleed American, which
I mean, I can see why someone would dislike Bleed American. And I have like kind of a 50-50 relationship with that record myself, because I think like actually like half of the songs on it are fucking like fantastic, like cautioners. And
honestly,
it's song.
It's the song. It's when they like go into the sort of like fucking like Dizzy Up the Girl Goo Goo Dolls shit, like Hear You Me, like the acoustic.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that explains it. I fucking love Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, it's like those. Although I will say, in the end of the fucking Hilary Duff movie, Cinderella Story, when they play one of those Jimmy Eat World songs, kind of an iconic moment. I'm only bringing that up because I recently saw it with my girlfriend, but also it's a good movie, and it was really.
Like shit, dude. The title track is really good. The Authority song is really good.
Praise chorus.
Yeah, praise chorus. Like that song is like super like sweet and like immediately nostalgic, even if you've like never heard it before, because it like layers in like all these references to old songs and even like shouting out the Promise Ring via Davey Von Bolen's feature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well,
it has this
the
moment.
The other thing I was going to say is I also don't understand your hate boner for Third Eye Blind.
That's like a lot of the stuff I post. I think like I just kind of like lean in to like having because like I guess with the page, like I've sort of crafted like a vague persona, and I kind of imagine it as like a sort of embittered, maybe like 36-year-old like hipster dude who like has particular hates, because I think I definitely exaggerate the bands I dislike way more for the page. because like I don't know, I fucking listened to the hit from their second album like the other day, and I was like, this is pretty nice actually.
The one from the Blue album.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I mean, I love Third Eye Blind. I actually need to do like another newsletter just about like 90s trash rock because I fucking love like Gin Blossoms and the Goo Goo Dolls and Local H and all that shit. Like that was stuff that like I still loved, like even getting into like ultra underground like screamy basement hardcore because like the songs are pop.
Yeah, I love the Local H a lot. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, me too.
Like, yeah, the crazy thing to me about Local H is I didn't know until very recently that live they're a two-piece. So the guitarist plays like the bass parts through an extra pickup on his guitar. I think that's fucking dope because when you listen to like the big hit Bound for the Floor, like the bass in that song is really fucking good actually. So I'd be curious to see how that translated to a live setting.
I'm really confused about how like Local H are at the same time big but like unknown. And to the point where they won a contest to open for Metallica in Chicago from like write in your favorite local band, and Local H literally won it and opened for Metallica in a stadium.
Oh, are they from the town of H?
Yeah, they have a super dedicated fan base still, which I don't know. I don't like people don't know that, but yeah, I'm down for the floor that is Local H.
Are there any misconceptions about you or the page? Is the final question.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, I hate when people like complain that I'm unilaterally negative, like because I'm not. Because I've posted a running Word doc of 2020 releases. There's like 27 pages on that, and I post that regularly. I post bands I like all the time. It's just like people will like see, oh, I made fun of like their favorite band or whatever, and be like, oh, you never post anything nice. It's like I post nice shit all the fucking time. I'm a nice guy. It's like
I'm a nice guy, bitch.
Sir, how dare you? How dare you? Yeah, no, I that's like, come on. I mean, I get it, but like nobody, the page would not have had any sort of following if I'd only posted about like how much I love fucking, I don't know, Kid Crash or whatever.
True. So one misconception that I found out is that you are the only one that runs the page, and I think what's confused me and has confused a friend is sometimes you sign off on posts. So that made me think that there is an overlord and then there's someone who just signs off on their posts just to differentiate them.
Yeah, no, honestly, it is just me. I sign off when I make something, and like when I don't, it's because I'm sharing something, or yeah, I guess that's. Although I don't really follow that as a rule. I don't really have I don't know, a code of ethics for my meme page. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty willy-nilly with it, I guess. But yeah, no, it is just me. Although like I have a couple friends that will like give me ideas or will even like send me shit that like I riff on. So I mean, it's mildly collaborative with some people, but it's like 98% just me.
Word.
I was telling Kyle that I'd love to be like a co-admin on the page, and then Kyle was like, people would just never stop being mad. It would just be too negative. At the end of the day, I don't think that I could live up to the high standard of quality. To this day, my favorite thing you've ever done with the page is the extremely lengthy academic like argument against Weedmo that is in the notes. I'm looking at it right now. It has like a works cited section. Like it's so good.
I need to like flesh that out a little more, because like I wrote that in like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 days, but I generally stand by it. Basically the thesis of that one was that like Weedmo bands are like solely concerned with like what they like consume, what they eat, what they have sex with, and like how that is like a reflection of what America is currently. I definitely can like embolden it with more shit, but I generally stand by that as a piece of writing.
It wasn't on the Facebook page itself, but when I did my interview with Todd Burns, I also like shouted out the blog post you did. That was like a deconstruction of scene core and its like lost potential that I actually thought was like fucking fantastic. So maybe we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, where do those live?
Because it's really good.
Let me.
That post is on the blog spot. Welp,
Yeah.
Is it like just welpits2am.blogspot.com?
Yeah, that's like. Yeah, I think they're both there now. I tried last year to like be more active with music writing, but like my life has just been like all over the place. Like I had like 3 different jobs in like 3 months just because of like temp shit. So it's like my grandiose plans for being like more invested into whatever writing just kind of like went into the shitter. But yeah, they're there. There might be something else too. I have like a personal like Medium that it might be there too. But yeah, definitely check the blog spot.
All right. Are we going to move on to the What Have You Been Listening To section?
Indeed, we are.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Who's
All
going
right.
first?
Guest goes first.
Okay, yeah. So like last month I did like this just for fun, like listen to all of like the sort of like main Alex G releases and then rank them just for people. And then like I thought, okay, I'm gonna continue doing that. And somebody told me that I should do it with Johnny Foreigner, which I don't know if you've listened to Johnny Foreigner, but they're just like this like super understated poppy post-hardcore indie rock, one of those bands that kind of is like vaguely all of it together. And yeah, they're super fucking good. I don't know. They like, to me, they kind of sound like if Rainer Maria and like a Sarah Records band kind of like went through some Frankenstein polymerization. But yeah, no, I've been listening to their whole discog, trying to like do a little silly. Here's like their main albums and how I think they stack. But yeah, no, I think that they're fucking great. IMO.
I've never listened to Johnny Foreigner before.
Yeah,
I-
me neither.
I'd super recommend it. It's kind of like maybe a slightly heavier Los Campesinos. But yeah, very Britishy NGL. But no, they're good. They're good as shit. Like that's all I can say.
It's cool. It's cool to hear that because weirdly I always like associated them without ever having heard them with like Biffy Clyro. Like
Yeah, there's definitely some sonic similarities there, but sort of that really peppy 2005 to like 2012 sort of British. I guess I keep wanting to say it's like post-hardcore because there's like points where like it's very like you could definitely like push pit to this, but the chord progressions are like very like happy, even though the songs are like pretty mopey. But yeah, no, it's definitely like you could put it on like an emo playlist and people would not like be able to like discern that it wasn't like authentically emo or whatever.
I'm gonna check that out.
Kyle.
Not a ton. I do like this new Golfer record a lot. I've been looking forward to that for a long time. I don't know. I just really wanted to hear a follow up to Dog Bless. And this one's really interesting. Like, there's a lot to chew on. It's not as like immediately like mathy or emo. And I like that they've thrown in some like synthy, bleepy blurps into it too. And there's this new Count Your Lucky Stars band that I like called The Goalie's Anxiety at the Penalty Kick, which is a very like good emo band name. They're more of like a slowcore thing. I feel like slowcore is kind of having another moment of some sorts, but I think it's just people want to make like the saddest shit that they can, so they go to slowcore because that's where a lot of that shit lives, in my opinion. And this emo trap adjacent thing kind of came across my plate that I kind of like. It's by someone named Eichlers is the project's name. Solidarity Club put it out with Honey TV, which is like the Mom Jeans label or media company thing.
It would be called Honey TV.
Yeah, for real. But I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of emo trap, but this one I saw it on Instagram and it was like the catchiest thing I've heard. It's like super hyper poppy, 100 Gexy, but like there's like actual like emo guitar on it and stuff. So it's cool. I really like the song. Text Me Tomorrow. That's a banger. Yeah,
Gregory sent me like the new Nail Polish EP that's coming out. I'm not sure when, but it's really fucking good. Like emo trap, like in like a true sense. Mm-hmm. Like they sample like The Ground Is Lava on it and shit. Yeah.
That's wild. Is 100 gex like spawning tons and tons of ripoffs right now? Does anyone know?
Well, especially with like quarantine, like I feel like people like have been going to electronic shit just because like, you know, it's easy to like, you know, get a DAW and then like make whatever.
Yeah.
But I haven't really seen anything, and I don't know. I guess like I'd have to probably like I'm a Bandcamp guy, so I guess I'd have to check SoundCloud more.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed really.
I would think that like
I think
sorry.
hyperpop
hyperpop is like the new like codified name for whatever gex is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think it'd be really hard to rip off 100 gex. I haven't heard any of these ripoffs, but I imagine that what people would take away from 100 gex is like the frenzied postmodern mashup of genres. But the thing that a lot of people miss is that Laura Less in particular is just like a really good pop songwriter. Like she's got hooks like falling out of her ass.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to write a good hook is something that actually not a lot of people possess as an ability. So 100 gex ripoffs might not be like anywhere close to like the quality of the original product.
Yeah.
Look, okay, I just side note. So like, more or less, like they made like a stupid joke song about Ratatouille, but it's such a fucking good song because like the conceit of the song is like whenever they feel bad about the music they're making, like there's Ratatouille, and Ratatouille is just a mouse, and he's making this good ass food, and like it's comforting for me as an artist, it's like seemingly very simple and very silly, but it's also like I listen to it, it's like this is a really heartwarming fucking song that is just a joke, and like yeah, such a good like people give 100 gex shit, but it's like it's good songwriting, like lyrically speaking, like. I like, especially in dog food, like these are good fucking lyrics, like from a like poetic perspective. Like, and I'm a person that would like if it was shitty lyrics, I would have fucking like sunk my teeth into it already. But no, like I love that shit.
I actually imagine that there probably is 100 gex ripoffs right now because the lyrics to the song that they remixed with Fall Out Boy and Nicole Dollanganger. The lyrics to that song are like, if I wasn't me, I'd copy me too.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure that there is ripoffs happening, but I mean, that song also is like fucking fantastic, regardless of how you feel about everyone else involved in it. Like, the song structure is really fucking tight. But yeah, 100 gex love fest always on the E word.
Yep.
I haven't been listening to a lot of music. Aside from like the stuff that I'm like making myself listen to for like my Halloween newsletter, which is like, fucking Ink and Dagger and City Hunter and shit like that. I know I need to listen to the new like West Side Gun album. I've heard that's like really fucking good. But mostly instead I've been like watching a lot of stuff and reading a lot of stuff. But like the stuff that I'm watching and reading is not of like super high quality. Jenk, are you one of those people who also read Darren Shan books when you were in middle school?
Oh my God, yes. I don't think I finished the vampire, the Cirque du Freak. I definitely finished the Demonata ones.
The Demonata series is actually really fucking good.
Yeah, no, it's like, they're fucking tight as shit. I can't believe it's like I was reading that. I was like 11 or 12. It's like super violent too, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing a newsletter about Darren Shan books about Cirque du Freak, or the Saga of Darren Shan, which is what it's called, like everywhere that's not America, and the Demonata series, and then like a more recent one that he did when I was in high school, so I missed it, called Zombie, which is like about someone who turns into a zombie. It's pretty good, but yeah, like something that I don't think I noticed when I was reading it as a kid was like every new book left me with like a really like uncomfortable feeling as a child. And that was what like kept me coming back for more. And now I realize in retrospect, like, oh, Darren Shan was like my middle ground between you start out as a kid enjoying Scooby-Doo and then like Goosebumps and then Animorphs, and then you read Darren Shan and you're like, oh shit, I can handle House of Leaves now. Which is not true. I couldn't handle House of Leaves.
Well,
it took me a couple years to get to that one.
Because like I remember like the very first Demonata book, and like I remember how cool like the cover art was. Like the very first book, like the kid's like family gets massive.
Oh yeah,
Hellraiser style.
The second chapter like starts with him finding like his dad's body hanging like decapitated with blood spilling from it. And I read that like on like a car ride with my family and like looking around and imagining my family being slaughtered in this horrible way. And I was like, this is super uncomfortable. I love it. I'm never going to stop reading. And I went back and reread a couple months ago both like the vampire books and the Demonata. Obviously, like the writing is not targeted towards someone my age, like the writing style, but like on both like a thematic level and like a lore building level, those series are both like super like tightly written. Like the Demonata in particular is like symmetrical, and I don't know. I'm gonna be excited to do that newsletter. But I've also been watching like a lot of like shitty horror movies, like Sleepaway Camp 2 tier horror movies. Yeah. I'm currently writing like an informal analysis of Scream for my newsletter because Scream is my favorite horror movie of all time. I don't know. I love October. I love Spooky Month. And I hope that not too many people are going to be pissed at me for like not talking about music. Like, because I got 4 essays coming out in the next 2 weeks, which is like an all-time peak for me. And my Buffy
Kevin
essays
Smith newsletter.
Oh my god, I'm actually planning on putting like an essay on Mallrats in one of my books because I think like people should have to pay to read my opinion on Mallrats.
That's my favorite Kevin Smith movie for sure.
Mine too. It's the most watchable. I think Clerks is probably the best written, and Chasing Amy is the most aesthetically pleasing, but Mallrats is the one that like I find easiest to watch over and over again.
It's like I watched Clerks like I don't know, it must have been like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it just was like it's so sad how like socially and politically like it's 20 years ago, like basically nothing has changed. It's just it was like damn, this movie's like fuck, like
that movie is absolutely a condemnation of late capitalism, like whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Well, we'll cap the episode off with some news and some topics. Some topics that we probably should have talked about by now, but we're starting off with kind of a recurring segment of punching down on a certain individual who got punched out because Fredo Disco retired the project. I believe in his words, he curb stomped Fredo Disco. And I think it's wild how, like, I mean, we could basically say it without him actually saying it, that, like, he kind of got bullied out of the music industry.
That's like, okay, I despise this music. But also, he's like, what? He's like 20? Like,
yeah.
If you looked at the music I made between like 18 and 20, you would want me chained in a basement for the rest of my life. So like, yeah, I mean that's I mean he'll probably, well, I don't know their pronouns. They'll probably do something. I don't know. Like
there is some background because Fredo Disco has just been like canceled and canceled and canceled and canceled and canceled over and over and over again.
Oh, okay.
To the point where like, I mean, I think to a degree it was unfair because of his youth, and then past that point it was like, I think you might just be an idiot. Like,
yeah. Also, like, I don't know if he's done anything bad because all I know is that they make music about prom, and I hate it. So, like,
I mean, nothing like actually genuinely cancelable in my opinion, but I mean, he started off posting his songs with the username "Hi there, it's Hitler."
Oh, Christ.
And then like people dug on his Instagram and saw that he was calling people the F word and stuff like that. I mean, like calling his friends the F word and stuff like that.
And Kyle, as a licensed faggot,
yes,
I just wanted to hear you say the word.
No.
It's
What-
cool. I'm giving you a pass.
I'm not gonna do it. You're gonna clip it out and then
Also,
cancel
Why would
me
I
for
cancel
it.
you?
I don't know.
also, like Fredo's name is like when I first heard it, Fredo Fosco. It's like, are you sure you're not like a Sopranos character that was somehow brought to life with some form of dark energy? Like, what's going on there?
What's the name of the teenager on The Sopranos? Tony's son.
AJ.
AJ, but it's like
One with, like,
Antonio or something.
Collection of new metal tees.
Yeah.
And like the Pantera shirt that's just a big old weed leaf.
Yes.
If fucking only Fredo Disco was that cool.
So I guess some context to this, because I had to dig to find out, was there's a Heart Attack Man and Hot Mulligan tour that was supposed to be Fredo opening, and then Fredo was swapped out with couldn't possibly be anything better than Meet Me at the Altar. And I was like, oh, I wonder what happened there. And then I went to like find like, okay, what happened to Fredo? And a month ago he posted like he curb stomped Fredo Disco, and he got out of his contract, which he was like, none of you should sign a contract when you're 18. And then he has and all of his music is off of Spotify and shit, and he took down like a Discord server that he was running, but he is releasing music under I.am.orange. So that's his new thing.
This is really mean, and I don't actually mean it, I don't think. But when I first heard that Fredo Disco like was finished, the first thing that popped into my head was that scene from The Cabin in the Woods with all the schoolgirls going like, "The evil is defeated."
Yeah, right.
Oh.
By the way, I can't emphasize enough my frustration that Hot Mulligan and Heart Attack Man are doing a tour together. I know, like, from a purely sonic basis, Heart Attack Man is not actually very far from Hot Mulligan, but
Yeah.
Heart Attack Man has good lyrics.
Hot Mulligan has a song where like they compare breaking up to like the Holocaust, which is just like, guys, you can't do that. You can't do that. Come on. Yeah, no, it's like, I'm sure they're nice though.
I mean, the only way that could be like acceptable is like if they named it something extremely over the top, like Show a Time. Like, it's got to be like just lean into the offensiveness of the metaphor.
I think it was because of the Pitchfork review, because I posted that Hot Mulligan Pitchfork review that Ian Cohen wrote and started off with an E-word reference. And someone was like, this album isn't good, and I need to know more about why Ellie hates this band so much.
Wait, what was the E-word reference at the beginning of that review?
Hot Mulligan are on some emo bullshit.
I thought that was a Blink-182 reference.
No. Ian even tweeted, I can't believe the editor let me keep my E-word reference in this review.
Aw, that's so sweet.
So you were not on the top of the world like I was about that? You just
No.
thought it was like a cute thing that I tweeted?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like Ian said this was literally an E-word review. Reference in this review.
Oh, it'd be so sick if Pitchfork reviewed the E-word.
Yeah.
We'd get like a 1.9.
Yeah, if I, you know, all my criticisms of Condé Nast aside, if I get some sort of reference to a meme I made in Pitchfork, I'll probably just stop making music, because like that's like the peak of any sort of dissemination I'll get into the media sphere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, you're yeah, that's how it goes.
Kyle, did you put this in specifically for me, this next topic?
I mean, I knew that we'd get some miles out of this, but Attack are back. It seems like a lot of people are excited, and I think the more interesting conversation here is how are these bands that are reuniting from like 6 years ago going to do? Because evidence last week we talked about Sea Haven, and no one even was like listening to music when Sea Haven was around.
I think Attack is different because a lot of people have, like, a lot of the people in the scene now, when Sea Haven was around, they weren't listening to Tumblr shit. They were listening to like
Warped Tour
Glamour
shit.
Kills shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Attack Attack is going to benefit like greatly from that type of nostalgia. But one thing that I think is going to be interesting is everyone always talks about Someday Came Suddenly, which is a great album. But the later Attack Attack stuff, like the second album with like Last Breath on it and Smokeahanas, like that's like some next level shit, and it's been ripped off ad nauseum. So I really am just hoping that Attack Attack is going to come back and continue to like do extremely weird, innovative, like much more innovative shit than like they should be allowed to do as a scene core band.
Well, also the main screamer dude from Someday Came Suddenly, he's been like blacklisted for numerous shit.
Oh, is Austin Carlisle like a part of this reunion, or is it different? Oh shit! Oh no! Oh no! Caleb Shoma, what are you doing?
Yeah, because the Carlisle dude, this is gossip from when I was like 15 or whatever. Like, it's like he's like
a pedo, right?
Yeah, he's something like that. I don't. Yeah, because if he's a part of it, that's like really fucking weird.
I thought he got kicked out / left because he was a pedo. Like.
Yeah, that, and then he started like another band, and that band
of Mice.
Yeah, he's of Mice.
Yeah, that band had the same problem.
And that band is like genuinely bad.
But they're huge.
Yeah, not as big as Beartooth though, right? Or is Of Mice and Men bigger than Beartooth?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no fun. All I know is that I'm going to listen to Sexual Man Chocolate when this pod's over.
Yes. Yes.
There was this thing where like someone for alternative press wrote an investigative piece about the sexual misconduct allegations with Austin, and then AP, just the editor-in-chief, just like cut it, and like they didn't publish it last minute.
Oh shit. I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, it apparently it's like done, it's written, and then Mike Shea was like, no.
That's crazy. We need more investigative pieces about seeing people being fucking predatory pieces of shit. Because like Davey Vanity from Blood on the Dance Floor is like finally getting his comeuppance, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Chris Hansen is working with the FBI to take him down.
Yeah, I think the Davey dude, I think he even shaved his head. Like, it's game over.
Oh, fucking Insane Clown Posse like posted a picture of him and was like, "This is Juggalo enemy number 1." You see him down in the fucking street.
That rocks.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That does rock. I'm so pro ICP. All right, fuck it. No, I've decided I'm going to make a conscious decision to enjoy their music now.
This was like in there was like a mini documentary about the gathering of the Juggalos, and like this was like
American Juggalo,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I was like, man, this is like, I mean, this is pretty wholesome. They're high end whippets like a motherfucker, but hey, they're family, bro.
Here's the thing, because I remember when American Juggalo came out, and I remember all like the fucking like hipster publications like Vice and AV Club like posting about it and being like, haha, look at these fucking Juggalos. And you can say, haha, look at these Juggalos, but I know that what you're actually saying is, haha, look at these white trash. Isn't it funny how like poor they are?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That documentary is actually like super heartwarming. What's that one scene where like the guy is just like describing like how he like wants to like date a girl and like feed her until she gets fat, and then they can lose weight together and bond? Yeah. I think that's from that.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good shit. They're having a ball. Like I haven't had that much fun like ever. So
yeah, I definitely had Juggalo friends in high school.
Oh yeah.
There was like a weird crossover between Juggalo fans and like Hollywood Undead fans. So unfortunately, I can like absolutely sing like Everywhere I Go by Hollywood Undead from memory. I'm not gonna do it. Don't ask me to do it.
More about Attack Attack though. Like we are like basically 5 years divorced from like this kind of music. Is it going to come back?
More. I was gonna say more maybe. Like,
yeah, I mean.
Probably 7 or 8 years from like the commercial peak, and like 10 to 12 years from like the artistic peak.
So do you like, where is this stuff going to live within music? Like, are they going to be like headliners again? Are they going to be like support for like I don't know, fucking Bring Me the Horizon or something like that. Like I'm just curious where this will sit.
I mean, Scene Core's coming back because fucking there's that like Little Lotus who has Die First. Yeah. There's a lot of like the emo trap guys who are like transitioning into making like out and out rock music that harkens back to this era. And I guess like the new Machine Gun Kelly kind of ties into that as well. I have no desire to talk about that.
I don't hate it. I'll say that.
I mean, that's like the bare minimum of how I feel about it is I don't hate it, but it does feel very cynical to me. But anyway, yeah, I think that nostalgia wave is definitely going to like push them up like in popularity, and the cosign from like the hip hop world is what's really important because hip hop is and has been the zeitgeist for years now, and people really underestimate like how much like hip hop culture has like an influence on what the kids decide to listen to. Like I think the latest burst in popularity from hardcore that was happening like 2018 and 2019 had a lot to do with like the close association with like Ghostmane and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the Attack Attack reunion is going to go probably a little bit better than we expect, and definitely much better than when Broken Side like tried to do a Kickstarter to record a new album. I remember that those dudes had like Nicolas Cage hairlines in the picture for that Kickstarter. It was rough.
There was also a lot of excitement about the 10-year anniversary tour for I Set My Friends on Fire.
Oh, that's right.
And it was a lot of DIY kids that were like, "This is going to be the best night ever."
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie. I love I Set My Friends on Fire like a lot. When they released like the original cut of their second album there. Yeah, it was like I love like the original shit that like Epitaph like made them change. Like, why did they do that? I loved it. I fucking loved it, but.
Yeah, low key, they're like very varied in their influences, and the way that they tie them together is genuinely sophisticated. Like, especially considering how like young they were when they started off. Like, I think it's like so unfair that so many people like remember them as the Smosh Band, because like their cover of fucking Crank That. Yeah, like,
that's right. That was them.
That's genuinely like a genius postmodernist like joke.
Yeah.
Like they made it like much smarter like than it deserved to be. Like it could have just been another one of those like cutesy semi-ironic punk goes pop sorts of things, but they like put their heart and soul into that shit. Also like hardcore two-step, that song is awesome. How many people learned how to two-step from that song?
Yeah, no, big fan of I Set My Friends on Fire. Honestly, super pro the electronic-y scene core shit. Let's bring it back. I didn't even care if it's the emo rappers doing it. Let's hear it, because I don't know, the emo discourse surrounding like, I don't know, bands, the sock bands with socks in the title and that shit, like that, it's kind of played. Let's bring it back.
You know what's super funny to me is like all the music journalists who fucking love The Shape of Punk to Come by Refused, who are like, why isn't there like more post-hardcore bands that are combining like this complex songwriting with like trance and electronic elements and hints of jazz? They all fucking shat upon Attack Attack and Set My Friends on Fire and Enter Shikari, even though those are absolutely the bands that were taking from the legacy of Refused, like directly or indirectly. I also think Attack Attack's aesthetic is going to be big time changed. I think they're going to look like kind of how like the Devil Wears Prada looks now. Like they're going to go full serious core.
I can't talk to Devil Wears Prada. I never really got into that, even though like they were like at their peak when I was listening to stuff kind of like that.
HTML rules, dude. Dogs can grow beards all over.
All right, should we talk about moon physics?
You guys have to explain that. Is this like the Tony Hawk moon physics?
So that's what it's like inspired by. Okay, so moon physics was announced like about a month ago. Yes, it is a Tony Hawk reference. But it is a zero profit anti-capitalist record label. and more. It's a newsletter. It's a Spotify playlist machine. I will start off by saying I think we need something like this to work because it's on the surface, as far as I know, it is what a lot of people they are basically doing what a lot of people want and what a lot of people have complaints about. And it would be nice to have an example of that working. And I think we could only wait to see if this is going to work. Is that we need it to work.
I think the idea behind it is super cool, and I agree that like if this can set like a strong example, then we're going to see a lot more like it, and it's going to lead to the DIY version of like what Kanye was talking about, where more of like the people who are actually creating the music have more control over the value that they get from their labor.
And I believe Carly Cosgrove are going to be releasing like everything they've done on and like pressing it on vinyl. So that's something that I'm absolutely going to go in on. But yeah, and they're doing distro for a bunch of labels. Citrus City, who I know are pretty big in like the indie world. Disposable America, Solidarity Club's on there too.
Communally supporting and investing like into art, like super pro that. Like obviously, I think like crowdsourcing and like helping people like in the more pressing financial stuff like that obviously is like when people think about crowdsourcing, that's like the first thing to come to. But I think as we like as we progress as like a society, we do need to be thinking about like why isn't like the music and art we enjoy like is it like locally like really supported and like both monetarily and both from like people's labor too. So yeah, getting involved at a sort of like a personal level. Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, and I do think that like this is going, depending on how successful Moon Physics is, like I think it is going to teach people a lot about how like an anti-capitalist mode of production, like a small scale as it is, would work, and maybe motivate people to try and implement that at like larger and larger scales. So the like all I can hope for is like a big ripple effect,
If you have no idea what we're talking about, moonphysics.com is the website. I've got it pulled up here, and everything that we're talking about is there, so just go there instead of listening to us talk about it. So one thing that I've wanted to talk about for a while now is newsletters. We haven't really talked about it besides that Ellie's doing one, but I think this is kind of the new field for a lot of music journalism going on right now, and we haven't really talked about it yet. So I guess initial thoughts on the newsletter world from you two.
I have been having a really great time like just doing my newsletter because I have like a very like personal audience, and so they're like willing to forgive me if I need to take a week off like for mental health and stuff. But aside from that, I think just like forcing myself to write at least something like every week or so has been like really fantastic for like just sharpening my skills at articulating things. I think you have like a note later about like how there's not much of like a model for getting paid, but there are like a lot of newsletters on Substack that you can like subscribe and the person gets paid like directly from Substack and you get extra material, or like the model that I do, which is like you can get an extra newsletter per month like if you subscribe to my Patreon, and if you do a higher tier you get to like choose the topics of what that newsletter is going to be about. And I think that the more the audience grows, the more I think that like the direct payment model is going to be the future. And I also think that it allows for like much more passionate writing, because you don't have to just write about whatever the publication you're working for is telling you to write about, which has always been one of my biggest stumbling blocks, like attempting to write for larger publications, is I can't force myself to care about something that has no like personal meaning to me. And then this way I can reach out directly to people who also care to an absurd amount about this like weirdo bullshit that I care about.
So with that thing that you mentioned about like Substack paying people, is that kind of like their version of like the Twitch affiliate?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
I don't do that. I think like I started it that way for like a month when the Substack first started, but I quickly realized that I would much rather like have people support me on Patreon, just because it was easier to get people to like get on board with Patreon. Substack is a little bit weirder.
Yeah, I personally, it's like super cool just like seeing like even just like friends of mine that just like want to write about like food or something. I definitely think like it is kind of like bloggy in that regard, but I don't know, something about the getting it emailed to you, I think is just like, I don't know, it feels kind of personal. I've definitely, it's like something that like I've wanted to like, and I did have like little mini reviews that I was doing but it's, you know, just for me where I am in my life now, like I just like totally fell off the fucking wagon. But like definitely with like the meme page, it's like, especially like this like last year plus, it's like, you know, I don't want to just like solely be making stupid, dopey internet content. Like I do writing, like it's going to be a huge part of what I professionally want to do down the road. So like, it's there for me, and yeah, I think it's a pretty solid platform, and just like, I don't know, blogs have always been like okay, but yeah, it's definitely when I get to it, it's I think it I guess democratizes like the sort of like joy of wanting to like write about something that you're really into.
Yeah, it's definitely been super significant for me, like because so much of like music journalism as a career is about networking, and I have like a degree of networking, like being friends with people like David Anthony, whose newsletter is fucking phenomenal, and Ian Cohen, like, but I like I said, I'm like a college dropout. I have like not very many like traditional professional prospects, so this is like this is like kind of a game changer for me, and I'm really trying to lean into that. Because obviously, like, the internet is the future of income. If, you know, the world doesn't end, like, sometime in 2021. Yeah, I think it's really good for quote unquote unskilled laborers in the music journalism field.
It's also very like inoffensive too. Like you just type in your email and then you get it delivered to you. Like there's not.
Yeah, it's not intrusive. Yeah,
you're not getting promoted posts about a Taylor Swift album that you didn't care about.
Yeah.
and you guys can see that I just kind of wrote out my thoughts here because I was kind of like, how do I organize this? And I think Ellie and David Anthony have proven that it's a medium for compelling music writing with no red tape. You know, like David Anthony's latest piece about Dillinger 4 was just like all about his experience with it. And like I don't know if like Consequence of Sound would run something that personal, because it's like if you're on Consequence of Sound,
touched my soul.
Yeah, there's no better home for stuff like that, you know, than a newsletter, because you are subscribing to hear what Ellie has to say, what David Anthony has to say about this thing.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that like they like teared up reading like my Wonder Years essay.
Yeah, like
and like
exactly.
And like before that, people were like, I cried reading like your Fall Out Boy and your My Chemical Romance essay. I think a lot of mainstream publications like don't understand the appeal of something that personal, but in fact, I think that's like what people are craving, like in this moment, like when everyone is so atomized and like all content creation seems like one size fits all. Like no matter how niche it is, there's always like this weird like I am creating a product vibe to it. Like even something like the Punk Rock MBA, which I really enjoy, like it still has like this commercial veneer. And I think what Substacks, those newsletters are like, it reminds me of like LiveJournal.
Yeah.
Where you are following it because of the person, you know?
Going on with that, like in the online publication world, it's like these are basically just columns, right?
Yeah. Like a column that you would write like in Heart Attack, like 1995, or for Maximum Rock and Roll or Razor Cake or something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I also think a really good example of like a music newsletter is this one by Adam White, who is like one of the longtime editors of Punk News. He has this newsletter that's been around for like maybe 2 years now called Some Party, and like it's only about Canadian weird punk leaning and unsigned bands. And I think like that perfectly exists as a newsletter because it's so laser focused, and it's like a blog is like, I don't know if this is enough content for a blog, but like a weekly newsletter about like a bunch of weird like synth punk bands only in Canada, like that's ideal, you know? So I think like I would like to see more kind of like extremely niche stuff like that for music.
You wrote here Dan Ozzies is almost too good. I agree. Dan Ozzie is like one of the best punk writers of the last 20 years, probably.
Blink-155 brought up Jaded Punk Hulk last week, and that's something that I completely forgot was a Dan Ozzie thing.
Yeah, but it was genius.
I know.
It was so good for like what it was.
Yeah.
I really like Miranda's newsletter too. I think it's called either Something Blue or Something New. I'm subscribed to it, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. She kind of has like a Luke O'Neill like influenced style of prose, and it works really well when applied to her in-depth explorations of fucking weird shit. Like she did one about like songs where the singer like says their full name, and that was like so weirdly specific that it was super compelling. Or another one that she did recently about like breaking down Anthony Fantano's like gender demographics and like what that says about like 4chan culture and the way that YouTube markets things within the algorithm. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of cool people doing cool things with the newsletter format.
Yeah.
This conversation has shit. I gotta follow some more fucking people, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I guess the point I was trying to make with like Dan Ozzie is like this stuff is perfectly warranted to like be on a big website, and now I feel like it's kind of easy to miss, and like because you know it's not tied to Noisy, so they aren't making like 18 posts about one article and stuff like that. And like I didn't even know that you can do this until recently, but like you can do like a podcast embedded into Substack, and like he's doing that too. Like there's like a Laura Stevenson interview that I missed. There's like all these things that I've just missed. Like, I guess, like, how is Dan Ozzie putting so much effort into this and, like, maybe not even getting paid?
I think he has, like, a Substack subscription sort of thing. Okay. And he also recently, like, did a zine.
Yeah,
which,
I saw that.
Miranda also does, like, physical zines. Yeah, it's sold out. I think he, like, didn't understand how many people actually enjoy his work. He's got, like, 33K Twitter followers and only printed, like, 300. Come on, dude.
But I do think that there are a lot of bad newsletters and this is where it makes me think we're just eventually going to move on to Blogspot 2.0, because there's a lot of newsletters that I see that are just like, does anyone remember this album from 2003 that everyone's written about? And then there's a lot of those, isn't this obviously good album still good? And
I'm sorry, Kyle. I tell me how you really feel about my content.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people that will make, like, I think I saw someone do something about, like, the Albatross. And I'm like, dude, we don't need any more Foxing Albatross content. Like,
definitely that YouTube is like the prime for people like, yeah, this album is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And whether it is or isn't, it's just like, it happened like, you know, like 6 years ago or whatever. Like, come on, man. Like, just
I guess, are you noticing the kind of Blogspot 2.0?
No, I don't think so, because I guess I just don't follow that, like, that sphere of Substack.
Okay.
Like, I follow, like, people who I generally like, and read their stuff. Like, what's Zachary Lepez's one called? Abundant Living. I follow that one, and that's like very anti-Blogspot. But I agree with what you're saying, because blogs kind of started like with like this really cool personal focus, especially like in terms of music.
Yeah.
And then like you can literally see like how like Narai and Two Dope Boys kind of like descended into just, oh, we're just like a music news site. Or like, I mean, I think that around the time that like Stuff You Will Hate showed up, like the blogosphere was really changing, and there just like wasn't that same sort of like intimacy. Sorry for just continually referencing stuff you will hate. It's like just like such a pivotal moment for my like delving into underground culture.
Do people still like, I don't know, because I think like Finn McKenty now has like his own fucking personal channel, and I think that's kind of cringy.
I mean, he mostly just uses it to talk about like business and like personal finance. Like, really, all he does is like try and give like people like me who like were fuck ups growing up and like didn't listen to the authority figures, just trying to like help us get our shit together. And I think that's cool. But I can definitely see why someone would be put off by the fact that like he definitely has an eye towards how many views can I get like with this topic.
Which,
I
I mean,
don't know, his, like,
it's fucking
his
survival,
analysis.
you know? He's doing this shit for his living.
No, he like has like a full-time job. This is just like something that he does for fun. He's just like very structured with it.
Oh. Wow.
I don't know how the fuck he's a full shit. I need to get my shit together, man. The idea of doing all those videos with a full-time job, holy shit.
He's a psychotic workaholic, like to an insane degree. But yeah, and like I found like a ton of people actually like don't even know that he used to do stuff you will hate. Like that was like the thing that drew me to punk rock MBA in the first place was, oh, stuff you will hate is gone. This is like the next best thing. But then there are so many people who are like, I can't believe this dude used to be Sergeant D, and it's because he's like not talking as much shit.
Yo, did you know that there's a whole Spaz split about him?
Yeah, I actually like messaged him about it on Tumblr like back in 2013. Yeah. And he did like a whole like post about it. But yeah, and all the song titles are about like him and his mom. But yeah, no, he has like a whole video about Spaz and power violence that's really, really good. When he decides to do stuff about underground music, his analysis and insight is really spot on because contrary to what people think, he was like there and has cred. But you know, metalheads like really don't like him because he isn't afraid to say like black metal sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Finn's mom yodeling in the bathtub, dorsal Finn,
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn, Finn Pickens, Renton Finn.
Yeah, I think he was like 13 or 14 when they did that record.
That rocks.
He started going to power violence shows when he was 11. I can only dream.
Probably hooked on meth by the time you're 12.
No. He was straight edge
I know.
until like 2008 or something.
I do think YouTube is medium to talk about stuff, but I feel like everyone that kind of gives it a go kind of
They succumb to the siren song of the algorithm.
Yeah,
people are always asking like me. It's like you should do YouTube stuff, and it's just like, I mean, shit. I don't even know where the fuck to begin with that. I've done like mixtape little things like as sort of like to combat the I don't know, the YouTube trend of like sad about your girlfriend shit. But yeah, doing like an actual content, like fuck, I don't know how cameras work. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, people have been like wanting me to do video essays for a really long time, and I've toyed with the idea, but I know for a fact that I would probably get a lot more attention like on YouTube just because like it's easier to watch something than to read it. But I don't know. I feel like I might like not be able to make myself extra enough to like be entertaining on camera.
Yeah, it's a huge showmanship.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I think we soared through some engaging topics.
Somebody is gonna like latch on to like everything I said as a reason to like despise me further. So I'm really counting on y'all to make me sound funnier than I am.
That's the goal of this whole podcast, is to make us all sound actually charismatic and compelling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jenk, thank you so much for coming on the pod. This was a really fun episode.
Yeah, super fun. I bet like